It's rubbish, but it's my rubbish. Hi besties and welcome back to my channel. For anyone who's new here, I'm Sophia and I love reading romance books. Now I love watching other booktubers react to bookish unpopular opinions and pet peeves, so I reached out to you guys on Instagram, YouTube and Threads and I asked you guys for your unpopular opinions and your pet peeves, and today we're going to react to them together. I don't know, I think this is going to be really fun, but before we get into it I do want to make a bit of a disclaimer. We are all entitled to our own opinions. Just because I say something it does not mean it is law, it does not mean it is right. Just because you have a different opinion to me, it does not mean you're wrong either. The world would be a hell of a boring place if we all had the same opinions, so I think it's great that we have some diversity, some differing point of views and opinions, and I am someone who loves having conversations about these kind of things. So yeah, I thought this video could be really fun, and all that is to say I still love you even with some of your hot takes. So kicking this video off with a little bit of a controversial one, the first submission is that Booktok has the worst recommendations. Now I'm gonna tentatively agree with you. I think mainstream Booktok has terrible recommendations. All of the books are incredibly tropey. They feel like they're written just for the purpose of being advertised, which I personally don't really like. I know there is an audience for everything out there and that is amazing, but I just prefer my tropes to be a little bit more creatively woven in. I don't know. With that being said though, if you can find a creator that you have like the same opinions as and can land yourself on the correct side of the algorithm, I think Booktok can be incredibly resourceful and have some fantastic recommendations. But yeah, largely I have to agree, Booktok has some pretty rough recs. This next one's a bit controversial and it's hurting my heart a little bit. Someone said Fourth Wing was so cliche and not worth the hype. I'm gonna both agree and disagree. I personally loved Fourth Wing, but I can agree that it is very cliche. It's very like, I know I just said I don't like tropey books, but Fourth Wing definitely like hits the nail on the head, goes through a checklist of like dragons, war college, enemies to lovers, but it's done in such a good way. Like it's done in a very reminiscent of 2010's dystopian fantasy, and I don't know, I like that about it. I also do think it is cliche that the main character is like very stereotypically weak. I do love that there is disability representation in this book though. I think that's fantastic. I'm pretty sure she has a connective tissue disorder, but yeah, I love that there's that representation, but she is admittedly a weak character who finds her strength throughout the book and she kind of becomes the key to success, and I agree that that is cliche as well, but I still think it's good. I do understand though how it can come across as overhyped and like kind of bad to seasoned fantasy readers as well though, because it's very like, it's cliche, but I loved it. That's what I'm trying to say. It's rubbish, but it's my rubbish. Okay, these next two kind of tie into each other, but the first one is liking toxic men and relationships in books doesn't mean I support it in real life, and absolutely yes, 1,000 times yes. In my real life, all I want is a healthy relationship. I do not want any toxicity. I don't want any cheating. I don't want any bad men. I want a golden retriever man, okay? But in my books, there's just something about a morally grey, toxic character, and that does not mean that I would love that in real life. And honestly, if I ran into some of the scary mafia men that I read about, if I ran into Zaid or Enzo or Luca or Remo or any of those men in the street, I would turn around and I would walk away. I would walk away very quickly. But I still think it's fun to kind of push the boundaries and like explore and read about things that you're not going to experience in your real life. And tying in with that, someone said, it just bothers me when people talk badly about people that read dark romance. Dark romance is not for everyone, and I know people read it for so many vast different reasons. Some people read it therapeutically, some people read it as like a way to experience a new world. Personally, I read it because I love a little bit of violence and like darkness in my books. I think it just adds an extra edge that you just cannot get in contemporary romances. The things I read about in my dark romances are thankfully things that I'm never going to experience in my real life, and I think it's interesting, I think it's fun, I think it's thrilling, and I think it's not hurting anybody. Like no one is being harmed by me reading a few dark romances, and I really hate that there is almost like a stigma around dark romances. Like I'm not a bad person because I like to read about mafia men. I'm not a bad person because I like 6'5" morally grey characters. They're just hot, okay? But yeah, I mean like read whatever the hell you want. I love that there is such a diversity in the book community, and I think it makes it a better place. Oh my god, okay, someone said when they use the nickname daddy, massive ick. I absolutely 100% agree. When it's used in the bedroom in a book, I gag every time. It really makes me cringe. I just don't like it. I don't want to think I don't want to think about a father in that situation, you know what I mean? However, I do like it when it's like in a teasing manner. Like I call Xaden from Fourth Wing Shadow Daddy, I called Zaid Zaddy, like so many other people do as well, and I think that's funny. And there's also a scene in Hail Mary by Candy Steiner where like one of the main characters does that to the other main character, and it just makes me laugh. Okay, I love it when it's teasing, when it's joking, but as soon as that enters the bedroom, makes my skin crawl. This next one I agree with 100%, and I don't think it's an unpopular opinion. I think it's a very, very popular opinion, and I think it needs to be implemented. But they said when the FMC is always described as short, petite, curvy, but in the right places, like give us some diversity. That one right there. I quite frankly am sick of the 5-foot heroines who are at eye level with our hero's chest and like are so tiny and small and fragile, and I just, that's not realistic. Okay, to be honest, I'm not reading romance for it to be realistic, but I would love some more representation. I would love the inclusion of more races, of more disabilities, of more mental health issues. I would love the inclusion of some different heighted characters, some different body shaped characters. I just am so sick of the tiny little blonde girl who like cannot fathom taking up more than like a cubic inch. Can we have some diversity? Pretty please. And also the thing about being curvy but in the right places, like are you inferring that there's wrong places? Like I just hate that sentence so much, and I cringe anytime an author uses it. And then when it's like the heroine has massive boobs and a big butt and like a tiny waist but narrow hips, and I'm like, how do those proportions work? Which genetic goddess blessed you? Where do I get some of that? Yeah, I think some more diversity is needed in general in the romance space. I think it is getting better, but there is still a very, very long way to go as well. And I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing some of that come to fruition. But yeah, some more diversity, pretty please. And we're gonna move back into one that doesn't get me as heated. This one is also attacking me. Hello. It says people who buy the whole series before reading the first book, heaps of red flags. Like why? Totally not guilty of this one at all. Definitely didn't buy the entire Boys of Tommen series or the entire Elite Kings Club series or Lauren Ash's Formula 1 series before reading the first book. I will say though, I have learned from my mistakes. I've been stung by that way of purchasing books before. I don't tend to do it as much anymore unless it's an author that I love, like Sophie Lark or Candy Steiner or Devney Perry. Yeah, you know what, ultimately spend your money however the hell you want to. I needed to learn that lesson. Weird dick names, for example, Consider Me and The Sword of Thunder. Yeah, it makes my skin crawl, it makes me cringe, it really takes me out of like the moment. And if it's going good and then they drop Sword of Thunder, or like don't even get me started on Velvet Covered Steel. Yeah, it's just use not even the anatomical terms, just don't be that imaginative. When there is stickers on the front page cover and it's permanent, yes, thankfully that doesn't seem to be too much of an issue here in Australia in the publishing industry. However, I do know that it's like a big thing overseas. A lot of your traditionally published books have those stickers that you can't peel off or anything, which I can understand the frustrations, because it's like there's a beautiful cover and it's been tarnished by a as seen on TikTok, or here's another book by this author, and it's like, I don't care. But with that being said, I'm going to play devil's advocate very, very quickly. I can see how that would help people that are not in the romance community. So like, say someone just randomly picked up The Love Hypothesis, loved it, and now they're at the bookshop again. They say that the Love Hypothesis sticker is on Love in the Brain by Ali Hazelwood, and they go, oh my god, I love that book, I'm going to read this one as well. So I can understand why publishers put those stickers on their books, because it kind of draws in a bit of a wider audience that is not already in the book community or loyal to an author or a publisher or whatever. So I can understand it, but just make them peel off the ball. When people rate spicy books spicy because they're not used to spicy, okay, I love how that's phrased by the way, but I do agree with this one. As a reader, I often use like spicy ratings and like chili pepper scales to gauge how spicy a book is going to be, how much smut there is going to be in it. And that's why I love rating not only on star rating but also on chili pepper rating. And I would like to think that my scale for smut is like pretty appropriate to what's out there. And it is a little bit irritating when a book is rated like really, really highly on the smutty scale and you go and read it and there's like one sex scene and it's like, where's the rest of it, you know? But I'm gonna play devil's advocate again. I'm gonna fence sit because the fence is a very comfortable spot. So yeah, I'm gonna fence it, and I'm gonna say that, like, to people who don't have any prior experience reading smart, something like The Deal by Elle Kennedy is gonna be spicy to them. And so I can understand them rating it higher on the spicy scale. And, you know, I think it's then kind of the reader's responsibility, like if you're reading reviews or whatever, to then look at some other reviews and like some other spicy ratings, and also to just get like established and follow a certain creator that you know has tastes that align with yours as well. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I agree with you that it's like irritating, but I can also see the other side of it. I don't know if any of that made sense, but we're gonna move on. So the next one is, I have a hatred for the bully trope. Me too, bestie. I cannot even express to you how many times I've tried to like the bully trope. There's been a few books that I have liked it in, like Things I Wanted to Say by Monica Murphy, or even A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime. Dark romance bully trope, I can't really get behind. Like, I want my hero to be on his knees groveling, begging to our heroine, you know what I mean? I want him to fall at her feet. I don't want him to be like shoving her into lockers and bullying her, and just, yeah, I agree with you. I've tried, and I'll probably continue to try, but right now I'm not the biggest fan of bully trope either. Did I say bully trope? Bully trope. Oh, okay, this next one I reckon is actually unpopular. This one is, I love a good old accidental pregnancy trope if done right, and I'm actually gonna agree. I'm gonna be in the minority with you. There's something about an accidental pregnancy that, like, when placed in the right scenario with the right couple in the right point of the book, it's good. Actually, I don't think I've read a whole lot of accidental pregnancies, but in Bound by Cora Riley, the fact that there was an accidental pregnancy in that book really brought the two characters together and kind of, it sounds awful, but it kind of fixed all their problems. And I think that is a case in a book when it's done really, really well, when it's written really well. I probably haven't convinced you by the way I'm talking about it, but yeah, I enjoyed it in that book, and I thought it propelled the story appropriately, and yeah, it fit. Yeah, I don't think I've actually read a book where it's been bad, but I also just haven't read a whole lot of accidental pregnancy, which, if you have like a favorite, drop it in the comments because I want to broaden my horizons. Okay, these next three kind of all tie together, and they are all surrounding Booktok's favorite author, Colleen Hoover. The first one is Coho is overrated. First of all, I think she's a great entry point for new readers. I think she has brought a lot of people into the romance genre, which is fantastic. I love having all you besties here. But generally, I do think her books are a little bit overrated. I'm gonna fence sit. Once again, I'm gonna play devil's advocate again because he's my bestie. Yeah, I do think her romances are a little bit cliche, a little bit toxic, a little bit trauma idolizing, which I don't love. But like, overall, I think they're easy reads, and if it gets people to like read more and get into romance, then who am I to judge? All right, continuing our coho train. Someone said, I really didn't like Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. Ugly Love, I really liked it when I first read it, but it was the first romance book I had ever read. It was a whole new world to me. I loved it at the time. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was storming through it. I dreamt about it the night after I read it, and I really, really loved it at the time. But retrospectively, I don't think I would like it, and I don't like it now, if that makes sense. I think there is a lot wrong with that book. I think there's a lot of like trauma idealization. There is a lot of like just toxicity in general. And yeah, I don't know. I loved the book at the time, but I don't love it anymore, but I am still thankful for it for introducing me to whatever the hell this is. All right, and our contradicting opinion, someone said Miles wasn't a bad guy in Ugly Love. I don't think he was objectively bad. I don't think he was set out to hurt Tate. Like, I think he was just a guy with a bit of trauma who maybe should have seen a therapist before he kind of went out and fell in love. All right, we're moving away from the coho train. This person said, cracking spines cracks my heart. Me too, bestie. You can do whatever the hell you want with your books, and I'll do whatever the hell I want with my books. I personally don't like cracked spines in books. I hate doing it. It's not even that I don't like the look of it. I kind of love the like worn in, beaten up look of books, like when what am I trying to say? When the spine is cracked and the pages are annotated and like this book looks well loved. I love that aesthetic. But I also love this aesthetic where there is no cracked spines and my books look like they just came off the bookshelf or the printing press. And I'm like kind of torn between those two aesthetics, like stuck between a rock and a hard place. But yeah, I think ultimately I'm just gonna admire your books from afar while I keep mine in pristine condition. I hate epilogues. I just feel like it's always the same, where the couple is married, pregnant, etc. I'd rather the epilogue just be the couple in a normal everyday routine or something. I agree wholeheartedly. I think it's so almost refreshing when an epilogue is not just marriage and pregnancy and babies. It's like, if you've done a good enough job in your book of convincing me that these two are going to be together forever and ever, it's just like a given that that is probably going to happen in that couple's future. I don't need to see it in the epilogue. I would much rather see, like, I don't know, if they're a hockey player, I would much rather see them winning the Stanley Cup. Or, you know, if you have to include children, I don't know why I'm using the hockey player example again, but if you have to include children, have like the dad, the hockey skater, teaching the kid how to skate or something. Like, that is just so infinitely better than a wedding or a proposal or a baby. All right, we're getting towards the end of this video, but first we have 2 pet peeves. The first one says pet peeve, miscommunication. I literally scream at the book. And the second one says miscommunication trope makes me want to throw the book against the wall. You and I, we're on the same wavelength. Miscommunication honestly just kills all motivation that I have to read through a book. Only unnecessary, like unmotivated or really, really dragged out miscommunication. I will say that it can occasionally be a good plot point, a good plot device to kind of propel the story forward or like be an inciting incident. But yeah, in general, miscommunication gives me the absolute shits, and I'm gonna throw coho under the bus right now. All Your Perfects, that book, if they just sat down and have a conversation, the book would not exist. Like, I hate miscommunications in books like that, where if the couple just sat down, the book would not exist. That miscommunication just rubs me the wrong way, gives me the shits, makes me not want to read the book. Okay, and now that I have rambled on for 35 minutes, hopefully the video's not that long. I'm really sorry if it is. I really hope you've enjoyed it regardless though, and if you have, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, follow my Bookstagram threads and subscribe, because sometimes I ask things on my community thread. Yeah, do all that to be involved in some of these videos in the future, because I love like asking you guys questions, having you pick my reads, anything and everything like that. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video for like the 3rd time. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one, and I'll see you later. Bye.